The following is a non-profit fan video. VeggieTales is a property of NBC Universal, DreamWorks, Big Idea Entertainment, Phil Fisher, and Mike Nowaki. Please support the official release. Hello and welcome everyone to the Marr Show. Thank you guys for joining me for a fantastic episode. And today I want to talk a little bit about VeggieTales along with the best Christmas gift. So I will admit the first part of this video I'm going to be rambling a little bit about my experience with VeggieTales and Phil Fisher, and then I'll talk about this movie. So for those who just want my thoughts on the best Christmas gift, I recommend just going to this time code here and just stop watching it. But for everyone else who just wants to know a little bit about how VeggieTales impacted me, then you can continue watching. So let's begin. I of course grew up with VeggieTales. I remember watching it way back in the day. I still have fun memories of watching Bob and Larry retelling stories of the Bible and teaching about God's good news while still having fun and with memorable characters, wonderful silly songs, and teaching wonderful life lessons in a fantastic whimsical way. I do want to say, however, that I did stop watching VeggieTales for quite some time. It's been about since 2005. I remember the last video I watched was the Summa of the Opera episode about perseverance, which was a very good episode, I have to say. And even though it was years since I watched the VeggieTales, when I was getting more into the Bible and taking it more seriously and applying God's message to my life, when I was reading like the tales of David and Joshua, I still had images of like Dave and the giant pickle and Joshua and the big wall still in my head even after years of not watching it, as well as many memorable quotes that they did that has helped me throughout life. It's because of how well that the people at Big Idea really did in inviting kids to learn about God's message in a fun and entertaining way. In fact, to be fair, I really have to thank VeggieTales really for helping me learn about God and His Son Jesus, and learning how to be a good person and loving my neighbor. It's really incredible to see, like, even though it's been years, like close to over 25 years since VeggieTales was even invented back in 1993, or at least the series was first released. The characters were made back in 1990, but let's not worry about that. It's still incredible to see how well these episodes have aged. Like, after, I think it was around earlier this year, I decided to get back into watching VeggieTales, and I was extremely impressed of how well the episodes were, how they were able to convey the message while still being tons of fun to watch with a wonderful cast of characters. But even more incredible, aside from VeggieTales and how well they still hold up to this day, I've also been heavily inspired by Phil Fisher himself. I'm not going to go into the whole details about his life or anything. There's plenty of different church conferences that he explains about his life, as well as checking out the book of Me, Myself, and Bob, a true story about God, dreams, and talking vegetables. But it's very inspirational, and I have to say, in terms of Christian people that have become huge inspirations to me, Phil Fisher is up there along with Alan Paul Jr. and Charles Stanley for having wonderful ways of conveying the message of God, and also his life story and all that he's learned throughout his experience with vegetables or VeggieTales or something like that. He may also have a garden where he grows like beans and squash and okra behind or something. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the best Christmas gift and why so many people were excited about this video, let alone the new VeggieTales show coming on TBN, why so many people were excited about that. In 2014, Big Idea was purchased by DreamWorks Animation and decided to take VeggieTales into a brand new direction on Netflix with shows like VeggieTales in the House and VeggieTales in the City, which saw the cast being completely redesigned, having a faster paced narrative, and being more comical. I mean, there was still Bible values in some way, but it wasn't heavily focused on. And I did try to watch a few episodes of VeggieTales in the House and City, and while some of the character designs look a lot of fun, I will admit I don't really like the faster pace. If you see my review of Thomas and Friends Season 22, it's sort of the same issue I have where it's just so much fast pace for something that wasn't really intended for that. I mean, I understand where they were going with it. In fact, I actually appreciate them wanting to take VeggieTales and try something different with them. But in the end, it just didn't really turn out that well, especially with the vast zaniness of sayings, and not really focus so much of the good word that much, unfortunately. When work on the VeggieTales shows on Netflix were done, DreamWorks was originally going to close down Big Idea Productions. But then Universal bought DreamWorks in 2018 and they allowed Big Idea to stay open with the possibility of doing more VeggieTales content without any direction or supervision from DreamWorks. And thus in March of 2019, TBN announced that a new VeggieTales series would be released in 2020 along with a Christmas episode to premiere this past October. And when I saw the announcement of the VeggieTales show, I got really excited for it. Not only would this be Phil Fisher's return to script writing for the series since 2008, and not only was it seeing brand new stories being based around the New Testament, various parables that Jesus told, and even doing episodes based on the fruit of the Spirit. But I also really love the way that they were gonna do the show in sort of like a Muppet Show style, where Bob and Larry and the crew would do live performances in Mr. Nez's live theater. I love the Muppets, and you can obviously tell that there are little hidden inspirations of the Muppets within VeggieTales. I mean, you can see Bob as Kermit, Archibald as Sam the Eagle, Larry as Fozzie. So I have to admit, I was really excited to see this new version of VeggieTales, and it looked really promising. And after watching The Best Christmas Gift, I have to say that got me really excited to see the future 18 episodes that are going to be on TBN later on next year. I want to talk a lot about the story and the writing, but I want to go through briefly of a couple things regarding The Best Christmas Gift. For one, the animation does look good. I know this might be controversial, but I actually do like some of the designs in VeggieTales in the house. I mean, they're not perfect. I mean, some do look off, like Laura Carrot and Petunia looks weird, but some of the designs actually do look like a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed how Jimmy and Jerry Gold looks, Bob and Larry look fine, and Mr. Lunt looks the same. I'm not gonna say all the designs look perfect, but some of them do look like a lot of fun. In fact, drawing them in that kind of design looks to be like a fun, zany way to be creative with how to draw a character in a certain way. But yes, be real, you cannot outbeat the classic look of the vegetables, and they all look wonderful with the lighting and the newer models. They look great. In fact, speaking of animation, I do want to mention one scene that I really love, even though it's for a brief bit, where you see Bob drinking out of his coffee so unamused. That scene there, I don't know why, but it's just hilarious. It's kind of like with the scene from Millie and Thomas and Friends. They're both just equally funny. In fact, I'm going to start thinking of that image whenever something big and grand announced, and I'm like... The songs themselves are catchy and upbeat, once again being written by the talented Kirk Heineke. In fact, there are two songs that actually got stuck in my head. The Wise Men, yes, I'm aware that it's a very short song, but I had the melody stuck in my head a lot. And of course the song Messiah is Here, with the French priest going around happily singing it. It's a really fun scene. Many of the voice cast reprised their roles, such as Phil Fisher voicing many of his characters, with Mike Nowacki voicing his again. We also see the return of Lisa Fisher, Phil's wife, returning as Junior. That's a plus. Though there is one voice that has changed, and that's Mr. Nezza. Mr. Nezza was originally voiced by Phil Fisher, but with The Best Christmas Gift and future VeggieTales episodes, he's voiced now by David Main.
Now, Bob, I thought you'd say there'd be a Christmas tree. Now, what kind of Christmas show doesn't have a Christmas tree?
Some people will be like, why is he not voicing him? I mean, he voiced in the pitch reel for the VeggieTales show. What's going on? Well, there's a pretty good explanation. Phil's no longer comfortable with voicing Mr. Nezza. Now, I've always seen Mr. Nezza as a zucchini, nothing more, nothing less. However, some people found the voice to be rather offensive, of kind of mimicking an African American voice, as Phil himself is Caucasian. Even though in reality, Phil was inspired by Oogie Boogie to do the voice of Mr. Nezza. So while it's a bit of a shame to not see Phil voicing as Mr. Nezza, it's completely understandable. And to be fair, David Main does a good job with the voice. It's gonna be weird getting used to someone else voicing as Mr. Nezza, but overall, David, good job. And I just thought of a great episode idea. Y'all know how in VeggieTales in the House, Mr. Nezza was taken to the back, shot at, and was replaced with this other Mr. Nezza-like character. I forgot his name, unfortunately. Imagine both of them appearing in an episode where they're like conflicting about who runs the feed and such. That would actually be a very funny episode. I will admit, I would love to see that. But one thing I actually really do like about this special is the story. Bob and Larry gets a letter from a kid named Arthur. He writes that his dad lost his job and that they're having to move away to a new city away from his friends. So Arthur's question is, how can he be excited for Christmas when everything seems to turn bad? And during that time, things aren't going well at first in the theater, with the crew kind of in a mishap of trying to figure out what story to do, and the fact that Larry forgot to get a Christmas tree. That is until Paul Gray wants to do a show on the very first Christmas when Jesus Christ the Lord was born and how God came to end the tough times. And I have to admit, that's a really good message there. I mean, this isn't the first time VeggieTales has retold the story of Jesus being born and what Christmas meant about, but it's a great reminder for people of what Christmas really means, like during the rough times, whenever, like, say, a loved one passed away, or your job is in the risk of being lost or losing everything, that we should still celebrate Christmas to help remind us of how God came to this world with his one and only Son to help end the rough times and help us to pass through all the bad and see something beautiful that we're hoping to see one day, to see Jesus come back and take us back to the new heaven and earth. And not just a reminder of Jesus coming to this world, but also a reminder of how he changed the world by healing the sick, making the blind see and the lame walk, and always being honest with his disciples and never lying or sugarcoating things and telling the things how they are. And it is important for us to celebrate Christmas, not just because that's the day that Jesus was born, but also of how he came to end the tough times and help us to see through the bad and see the good that he has done that has impacted our lives so much. And for that, I really admire the special for its message and theme. And one thing I do appreciate is slow pace, thank goodness. Again, nothing against fast-paced cartoons, but they have to be designed for that. And well, again, I give credit for VeggieTales in the House and City trying something different. It just doesn't really work with VeggieTales and a way of how they try to tell God's message. And this episode returns to that form of having a slow pace and getting them take time to explain the message of what's going on in the episode. And that's something I am happy to see, I really am. So overall, the best Christmas gift, I really love it. Do I think it's top-notch quality? Well, I mean, it's good, but there are a few things I do want to mention. For starters, if you look on the packaging here, you'll see that it says that the running time is 58 minutes. That's actually sort of false. The actual episode itself is about 30 minutes, but the extra 28 minutes is about Phil going back to the past VeggieTales Christmas specials and playing selected clips, as well as playing several of the VeggieTales Christmas songs at the end. Which isn't bad, it's a nice little refresher of going back and celebrating VeggieTales' history of telling the past Christmas specials, but other than that, it's not a whole hour-long special. And while the best Christmas gift is good, I will probably give it, granted I don't really do ratings, but I will probably give it a good 7.5 out of 10. I don't think it's by far the best Christmas episode VeggieTales has done. That award goes to the Star of Christmas for the imagination and the humor and the way the story was, as well as the scene where the scallion tells Bob about the meaning of love. It's a really powerful scene and I love it. But it is a very entertaining episode, and for those that were disappointed with VeggieTales in the House and in the City, this is a wonderful sign of things to come, to see VeggieTales back to its glory in a new way of telling many of the stories of the Bible, and I'm really excited to see many of the stuff that they're gonna do. I'm definitely going to watch it once it airs on TBN. I know it comes out in 2020, but I don't think they have a select month yet. But if you have yet to get the best Christmas gift, I highly recommend in doing so. It's actually a really good Christmas special. I do like it, even though the Star of Christmas and the Toy That Saved Christmas are my personal favorites, but that's just me. It's still a good special though. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. So if you would like to leave your thoughts on VeggieTales, just comment below. What are your favorite episodes and what did you think of the best Christmas gift, and what stories from the Bible are you excited to see being retold in the new VeggieTales show? I'm pretty excited about it, I have to say. And yeah, I just really loved it. It was good to see a good old return to Phil Fisher writing, seeing the original designs come back, and the promise of what to come from TBN. So thank you guys for watching this episode, and remember, God made you special and He loves you very much. Goodbye!